Welcome to Workplace Psychology with Dr. Martha Greidick. I'm Dr. Martha Greidick. This podcast examines a wide variety of work-related issues through the lens of industrial and organizational psychology. And while many of the topics discussed here may be seen as intended for white-collar employees and their employers, in reality, the ideas presented here are applicable across organizations and industries. Additionally, many of the topics discussed here may be applicable outside of the workplace. I encourage you to examine what's presented here, apply what makes sense to you, and simply discard the rest. Building trust and employee engagement is critical, both for the organization's health, but also for the general and overall health of its workforce. When trust and employee engagement are part of the workplace experience, we can see things such as increased performance, increased motivation, of course, better engagement, and increased overall organizational citizenship. But that's not all. We also see things such as lower turnover and a general increased satisfaction with one's work. So it's no surprise and it's no mystery that having better trust and employee engagement within an organization are good things and are important things to aim for and to have. As a leader, as a manager, you may be wondering, where do I start? Let's talk about first how to build trust within your team and eventually within the organization. Let's start by talking about your leadership. It's important that you're a transparent leader. Part of that means being present. That means being present and available to your team, whether that means being on site, whether that means being in contact with your virtual team. You have to be present and you have to be in communication. You cannot be a transparent leader if you are hidden away in your office. Maybe your door is open, but it doesn't feel like you ever participate and interact with the team, with the rest of the people there. So you have to be transparent, and in one way of being transparent is to be present. You have to be clear. You have to be clear about your expectations, what you expect of others, of your team, of the organization, and of yourself. So you have to be clear. You cannot be unclear. You cannot go back and forth on your expectations. That only creates confusion and really undermines the whole idea of trust as being part of the team and part of the experience. You absolutely must prioritize integrity. That means being honest. Do what you say you will do. Don't lie to your team. Don't exaggerate. Certainly don't manipulate. And expect the same from others. It's a two-way street. Of course, absolutely, you have to lead by example. If you have certain expectations of performance, of behavior, of levels of integrity and honesty from others, you better live up to that yourself and maybe even want to exceed all that. It's important to be respectful towards everyone, no exceptions, from the CEO of the company, your boss, the people on your team, and even people who are not on your team, even people who are not necessarily employed by your organization, whether that's vendors, consultants, customers. You absolutely have to be respectful of everybody. And along the same lines, you have to be able and willing to treat everybody the same. So don't show favoritism for one person or one group of people over others. This is how real trust is built. People see who you are by what you say, and even more importantly, by what you do, by how you conduct yourself, by how you treat others. And that brings me to the next point. Do not tolerate bad behaviors from others, or yourself for that matter. And if you are witnessing people who are really detrimental to the well-being of the group, to the well-being of the company, you have to be able and willing to remove them so that they don't cause more damage to the group as a whole. This brings us to the idea of getting people to become more engaged within your organization, to participate more. How do you do that? Well, first and foremost, recognize and appreciate people when they do the good work, when they go the extra mile. Make sure that they know how much you appreciate that. Make sure that you recognize them for their efforts, for their talents, because that's how you tell people that not only you appreciate it, but you tell them that you want more of that. Those are good things and you want more of that. When people know what you expect and what you appreciate, it helps them to give more of what you're looking for. Things that benefit them in their own experience at the workplace, in their own career, but also things that benefit the group and the organization as a whole. Always be ready and willing to help your team, but not just your team. Anybody who needs your help, you really should be willing to help whenever you can. And make sure you go the extra mile for your team. If somebody needs help, if somebody is struggling, be willing to be helpful, be willing to be a resource, be willing to go the extra mile, be willing to do whatever it takes to help them to succeed or to resolve a problem. If they cannot have that trust in you and the knowledge that you will do that, then how much they engage within the company may be compromised. So make sure that you lead by example in that sense, by always being available to help and willing to go the extra mile if necessary. Engaging your team also means engaging them when you're bringing new team members on board, when you are interviewing new talent. Make sure that you consider including certain people on your team, people who would have direct contact with this person, people who will be able to provide valuable feedback after being part of the interview. So those are great ways of engaging your team to increase how engaged they are with your team and the organization as a whole. And of course, it's also important to engage the individuals on your team, to engage the employees of the organization when it comes to decisions that affect them. And I understand that may not be possible every single time, 100% of the time, but you should definitely, as a leader, make an effort to engage people as much as possible when it comes to making decisions that will affect them directly. For many people, that will be something that they definitely appreciate from you as their leader, but it can also be something that helps to build trust. Make sure that everybody knows what the mission and purpose is. So often, those may be things that are introduced to an employee when they first start, and then they're never discussed again. As a good leader who is building trust with their people and who is building a level of engagement, a higher level of engagement, that's something that's important to speak about and to remind others of on a regular basis. So always remember the mission and purpose. And of course, work is serious and it's difficult sometimes Don't forget to bring some fun into the workplace, to lighten things up every now and then. It doesn't have to be all work all the time and all seriousness all the time. Make it a fun, enjoyable place to work. That doesn't mean that we do away with responsibility and productivity and doing good work, but if we never stop for a break to have a little bit of fun, especially together as a group, then we lose that opportunity to bring everybody closer together, to get everybody encouraged in ways of engaging with others, engaging with the organization, and of course, building trust. As this episode comes to an end, let's talk about what was discussed. Building trust and engaging your employees is a big deal. It can come with many benefits, from increased motivation and productivity to increased job satisfaction and everything in between. So it only makes sense that good leaders, good managers focus on building trust and engaging their employees, getting them more engaged. There are many ways that you can do this. Building trust starts with being a transparent leader. That means a present leader, a leader who is engaged with their own team, who communicates often, clearly, and well. You need to be clear in terms of your expectations. Things such as integrity and honesty are key as well. Being fair and respectful and treating everybody the same can go a long way when we talk about building trust. And whatever standards you hold for others, make sure that you keep yourself, and it wouldn't hurt to exceed those when it comes to your own performance and behaviors. Be a person of your word. Do what you say you will do. Be honest, don't exaggerate, and never manipulate. When you want to keep your employees engaged, always be ready and willing to recognize and show appreciation for their hard work, especially if they go the extra mile. And that means you have the opportunity and the responsibility as well to go the extra mile, to be helpful and resourceful for those that look up to you, for those who work with and for you. Engage people during things such as interviews, when you're hiring new talent, or when you are making decisions that affect your employees. Engage them, keep them in the loop as much as possible, whenever possible. Of course, it's important to remember the mission and purpose, why we're all at work and what we're here to accomplish. And don't forget to always bring some levity, a little bit of fun into the workplace to lighten things up every now and then. As the week unfolds, I encourage everybody to consider how to increase trust and employee engagement within an organization. You don't have to be in a management or leadership position to improve those things for your own environment, for your own team. So everybody has the opportunity to engage in some of the suggestions listed here today as a way of improving the environment for you and your workplace experience, but also for those who share your workplace and your workplace experiences. For those of you who experience this podcast in an audio-only version, I encourage you to check out my YouTube channel, Stress Free with Dr. G. You can find the video version of the podcast. While there, you can also check out some of the other videos which focus on stress management. So I encourage you to check out Stress Free with Dr. G on YouTube. The link for that is in the description below. Thank you for joining me today. Please subscribe to this podcast. I look forward to seeing you here again next time. Until then, I wish you joy and well-being.